Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome back to here at Pure Finesse Sports with yourselves here, Malcolm Gobius, who looking like he's growing a bit of the Flowskis,
Yeah, sir.
and the babyface assassin now, clean shaven and all, Mr. Jacob Marcus. And Malcolm, we're finally out of lockdown now, so I guess we can go get haircuts
Yeah, I'm
or wait.
preparing. I'm preparing to go get a haircut. My girlfriend's kind of pushing me to go get one. She's like, "Oh, you look so much better with your shorter hair." I'm like,
Have you
"Oh,
been
okay."
following what's happening in Niagara though,
No, not really. But
with
I know. I
Mr.
think we're maybe in
Mustafa?
grade. Pardon?
Mr. Mustafa?
What's that?
He's the Niagara health minister or
Oh,
the
I've
chief
not
health
been. What
minister.
did he say? What
Well,
did he say?
he's keeping us in gray.
Yeah, I know. I thought we were gonna be in gray. Honestly, I
Are
figured
you kidding? We're the only region, except for like
the
Toronto,
GTA area.
Peel, and New York,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
are in gray.
I know. Uh,
Stupid.
I know that shocks me, but doesn't really shock me that much. We're
I
so
was,
close to the U.S.
I see
border,
here,
it
dude.
doesn't really
Look
shock
at
me.
this. Hey, look at that. Jacob needs a haircut.
I'm
That's all
saying
I'm
I
saying.
don't even want to take my hat off. I don't even want to take my hat off. I'm not going to show anyone.
Jacob needs a
It's
haircut.
ridiculous.
But speaking
Yeah,
of ridiculous, we're going to be. This is going to definitely look from the sounds of things. This is going to be one of the biggest NFL off seasons in recent memory. So Pure Finesse here has made our
yeah.
top 100 free agents list here to go in the no fun, I mean National Football League. And Malcolm, I
And
think it's
before
safe
we
to
start, I know. Yeah, I just want to say before we start, I know we have a lot of NFL videos going out right now, but we are preparing more videos as the seasons go along in the other sports to get those videos out too. Because I know we've been doing a lot of NFL, and people have been telling me, "Oh, why are you just doing NFL?" We're gonna get other sports out there, but this is what's big right now, so we're going with the free
I
agency.
was gonna say until I would say late April, it's gonna be a heavy dose of the
Yeah,
NFL. I hate to burst your bubbles,
yeah,
but this is gonna be one of the biggest off seasons of all time, the National Football League. So we here have compiled our top 100 NFL free agents, and today we'll be going through 100 to 80 on that list, and to see where we think it's going to, or wherever these players might end up, and to see if we're right, because we always like
hopefully,
being right here on Pure Finesse. So number
usually.
100 on the Pure Finesse list is the defensive end formerly from the Cleveland Browns, Mr. Olivier Vernon. He's kind of known to be on the New York Giants rather than the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah,
And he did tear his Achilles, or I guess rupture, if you want to be a kinesiology major, a ruptured Achilles in, I want to say, the playoffs, but don't
I
quote
think
me
it
on
was.
it. So
Yeah,
he's going to be missing about 7 to 8 months, January. So you're looking at a October, September
he'll
start.
be ready.
Yeah, I won't be ready for training camp.
Yeah,
I don't think
but
he's gonna
he'll
be ready for
be ready
training
for the
camp.
season. I
And
think
it's
he'll
not
be
like
ready
he's
for the
getting any younger, right? He's getting into his
true.
30s. So he's not the biggest spring chicken like man and yourselves. It's just, first of all, before we get to just talk about spring chickens here, played 3 hours of pond hockey today. We have two tensors on both knees. That's how we're feeling after pond hockey for 3 hours. We're stiff. Very, very, very
Yikes!
stiff.
Yikes!
So I feel Olivier Verdon's pain.
3 hours is a long time.
I feel Olivier Verdon's pain when he's getting older, and the limbs don't feel as nice as they used to. So with that being said, are you looking to see a long-term deal for Mr. Vernon?
No, I'm not. I don't think any team is going to be willing to sign him long term. He is a good defensive player, though. Like he did play, obviously, he played great for the Browns this season, helping them get that defense, push them into the playoffs, beating the Steelers, of course, in the playoffs too.
You can
But I
relive
don't
that
think
if
a
you
lot of
want.
teams are sold on. It's fine. I think he's going to sign somewhere. Well, my prediction is I think he's going to sign a 1-year deal, and I think he's going to sign with the Patriots. I was thinking maybe he was going to go back to the Giants and have a little reunion with them, but I really see him going to the Patriots. Patriots need some more spark in that locker room after last season wasn't that great. Obviously, not having Tom Brady is a big factor, but building their defense. I know their defense isn't getting much younger either, but adding Olivier Vernon, he's a good defensive player. I think sign him to 1 year, see how he does, and maybe sign long term somewhere else or with the Patriots again.
I agree with the 1 year deal, but I not think in New England. I needed a team that needs a veteran presence because it's a very young team. That's the Arizona Cardinals. Chandler Jones, I know that name has been
Yep.
one of the best, I would say, more underrated pass rushers in the game. And if you have Olivier
100%.
Vernon on the other side of the ball, seems like it's gonna be a pretty good combination for Chandler Jones to have another all-pro season. So if he leaves Cleveland, does that
Yeah.
mean this guy I'm sure we'll be talking about later on in a couple of weeks, JJ Watt going to Cleveland? I don't know.
We'll get into that because I know that's later on. You'll get my full opinion when time comes.
Exactly. Hopefully, we will have the answer by the time that happens. So number
Yeah, honestly.
99, a surefire Hall of Famer. I think he's going to go into his 18th NFL season coming up because we don't know he's going to be. We haven't said it. We haven't heard any retirement dates. That's Mr. Larry Fitzgerald. He spent his whole career with the Arizona Cardinals. Is there any way that this guy plays on a different team, maybe chasing that
I
ring?
don't Come on, 18 years. I know he wants that ring, and maybe who knows? Maybe he goes to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, and they go get another ring with Larry Fitzgerald if he wants it that badly. And I think he deserves it that much because he's, like you said, a Hall of Famer for sure. But it's either I think he retires or he sticks it out one more year with the Cardinals again. So I think he's going to sign with the Cardinals again. I don't see him. It'd just be weird seeing Larry Fitzgerald in anything but a Cardinals jersey. But you've seen it in other sports. You've seen Danny Alfredson. He tried to go get that ring with the Red Wings. Remember, after being with the Senators his whole career. I don't really see Larry pulling a move like that, so I think he'll stick it out one more year with Arizona.
Yeah, Larry Fitz is all class whenever everywhere you look at it. He did have a shot back in '09 against your Pittsburgh Steelers and
Yeah,
lost. So he's
he
had
did.
a shot. I mean, Alfredson had the same kind of, like you said, Daniel Alfredson had the same kind of shot back in '07 against the Ducks. So
Mhm.
I don't think Larry Fitzgerald's going to pull that card. I think he is going to be going back to Arizona, like you said.
Yeah,
I think if he doesn't retire, yeah, I think it's kind of his ship has sailed, ring chasing, if you want to quote it.
yeah,
So I think, and you know what, Arizona's a pretty good destination to be in right now. You have DeAndre Hopkins, you have Kyler Murray. So I mean, it's not like he has to leave to go chase a ring. Like it's a very very viable
exactly.
opportunity in Arizona to go get that one. Number 98, we have from the Indianapolis Colts linebacker Justin Houston. More known again in Kansas City days, kind of along the lines with Olivier Vernon. He's kind of past the prime of his career. But Malcolm, this Indianapolis defense last year,
Oh, insane. Insane, bro. And I think we both knew because we both have them in fantasy that we are paying close attention to them as well. They played lights out. I think they was it Kenny Moore, who was just picking people off like nothing. So yeah, their defense is great. I don't think Justin Houston's going to stay with them though. I think he's going to go somewhere else, and a team that needs him, the Seattle Seahawks. And I think the Seattle, their defense is good. You can't get me wrong there, but it did not live up to the expectations at all. And I think if they get a good role linebacker like Justin Houston, then they can maybe spark that defense a little bit more and contend and maybe keep that streak going where they had at the beginning of the season, keep that streak going even longer and hopefully win a few more games. So I think he'll sign 2 years in Seattle.
yeah, I think that the glaring hole of Seattle last year was that defense. It was just absolutely could not stop a
Yeah.
nosebleed. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good viable option. But I think Justin Houston wants to run it back with the Indianapolis Colts. I mean,
Wouldn't be
if you missed,
surprised.
I don't know how if you didn't miss it, but this Indianapolis defense was the top defense in the league last year. Everywhere you look at it, I mean, if you were to sign me up to play with Darius Leonard beside myself, I would be signing on that dial line 10 days out of 11. So I think he'll sign a 1 year deal with Indianapolis, close to that's minimum if we want to get real precise. So I mean, they need a quarterback because Philip Rivers isn't going to be there next year. He's retiring, and the guy that's going to be down the list too is Jacoby Brissett. So they have no, I don't think they have any quarterbacks signed for the roster this year. So I mean, this is going to be hot take
Trade maybe?
for April. That BYU quarterback Zach Wilson
Ooh,
could be
he
a
would be a
possible
great pickup.
option.
Great pickup if they get him, honestly. That would be fantastic.
Number 97 on the list is a linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, Mr. Tyus. Coolest last name in football, Bowser, Tyus Bowser. He's not the biggest name that jumps out at you on the Baltimore side of the
Yeah.
defensive ball, but he's no slouch. He can play. So it's not like this is going to be a bottom feeder pickup if anybody wants him. So Malcolm, where do you think he's going? And I know this is kind of a
Well,
questionable pick because it's in division.
it's within the division. First of all, I love his name because it always reminds me of Mario Kart because Bowser, just whatever. But I think he's going to stay within the division. Like you said, he's not some big household name, but he's a good player still. And I think a lot of people, I know when Pittsburgh would play Baltimore, I hear Bowser's name quite a bit, honestly, and making a good amount of plays. So I think any team that gets him would be a great pickup. I think he does stay within the division. You go to Cincinnati. Can you name me a great defensive player on the Cincinnati Bengals?
Carl
Off the
Lawson,
top of my head, maybe I'm missing
William
someone.
Jackson the third,
Carl, well,
Von Bell.
Geno Atkins, but but like they're all getting older, right? Tyus Bowser, he's kind of still there. He's still developing. I think he signs 3 years with the Bengals and he proves himself there and has himself a breakout season within the next 2 seasons.
Hot take and a half.
That's
The team I think he's going to go with,
Thank
I think is very weak at the linebacker position to start off this next season because I think one of them, Denzel Perryman, is a free agent, and the other one is Thomas Davis. So you don't know if he's going to be retiring. So I think that Tyus Bowser is going to end up with the Chargers. I think it's on a 2-year deal. So I think it's a glaring need right now in LA is a linebacker, and I would say a good one in Tyus Bowser. So if they lock him up for a couple of years and you build around him, given the playing time that he desperately needs, because I don't think he was getting much of it in Baltimore, and see what he can do. Let him run with it. Number 96, a very prominent player in the AFC North Division for a long number of years, but coming off a very subpar season after tumultuous injuries, is AJ Green, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals. You think he's you think he's finished with his time in Cincinnati?
I think he's done there. You have the receivers that have come in and proven their spots. You have T. Higgins who came in. He played fantastic last year.
A lot of balls were in 95 in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Tyler Boyd even too. So you have 2 good receivers in Cincinnati. AJ Green, I know he's come off injury. He's been one of those stories like, hey, this guy is insane. Even within my division, and I still love watching him play. But I think he'll go somewhere else. And a place that really, really needs a receiver, and everyone's surprised they didn't draft one last year, was the Green Bay Packers. And I think Aaron Rodgers, if he can get Devontae Adams, Valdez-Scantling, and AJ Green as his receiver core, I think that's just something else. They can make maybe a better push to get the Super Bowl. I know they got handled by Tom Brady and just Tom Brady things, but if you add AJ Green to that offense, I think that's a match in heaven for Aaron Rodgers because that's another guy he can throw the ball to, a big guy too. So I think he'll sign 2 years with the Packers.
I'm thinking more along the lines of a team that needs a veteran receiver. And the team that strikes out at me that has a very good young talent at receiver is the Carolina Panthers. You have DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is a free agent we'll get to soon in the episodes. But both those two are under the age of 27. And they're very young and raw. And they haven't really seen much success in the NFL with the teams. I think AJ Green, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? Nurture them under their wing. And I think that'd be a really great fit in Carolina. But, I don't think it's going to get much touches, but I think it'd be a really, really nice fit for AJ Green to be more of a mentoring role with the Panthers. Number 95, a former Pro Bowl cornerback, AJ Boye, who seems to be bouncing around the league the last couple of seasons. I remember seeing him in Jacksonville in the AFC Championship game not too long ago. I think he had a stint in Houston, had a stint in Jacksonville, and now he ended up in Denver. So that's where he finished off last season with, and he is a free agent. So where does a glaring need at cornerback land, Mr. Boye?
Well, I think the Falcons just need to shake things up with their team. I think Boye, maybe he can prove himself that, hey, maybe I know you said earlier he's washed, right? But maybe he can prove that he's not washed and he's still a reliable corner. And the Falcons, also another team that was just disappointing to watch this year, didn't live up to anyone's expectations. So I think he'll sign 1 year with the Falcons to kind of prove himself that he still belongs in the league.
No, I don't think it's going to be very often that we're going to agree on picks for free agency, but I think it's a really good fit in Atlanta. I don't think it's going to be 1. I think it's going to be 2 years. But they have a really good young raw cornerback who's going into a sophomore season. And I think an underwhelming rookie year, AJ Terrell, the first round pick last year. If they can get another veteran corner like AJ Boye, who knows how to do it in the league and kind of help him guide AJ Terrell to see what he can do right and, help him learn, I think it'll be a really good fit in Atlanta. And, the secondary there really, really suffered last year. And, they had a pretty good offense. I mean, like Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, Calvin Ridley, and Julio Jones, right? So they can
Julio.
score points. They just got to stop the ball going into their own end zone. Number 94 is from my Cleveland Browns, who was not supposed to be a starting cornerback this season, but to a season-ending injury for Greedy Williams, who seemed just to be dragging on and on and on and on. And we had no idea what he was injured with, except it was a back injury, quote unquote, is Terence Mitchell. I think he's one of the best unsung names in the NFL, and that might just be because I'm a Browns fan, but he's a pretty good, reliable cornerback. He's not no Darrelle Revis, obviously, but he can get the job done. He doesn't get star-studded numbers, doesn't have the picks, doesn't have the knock block passes, but he gets the job done. So he did spend the last couple of seasons with the Cleveland Browns, Malcolm. Where does Mr. Mitchell end up for 2021?
Like you said, with the injuries and everything, they kind of need some assurance, and just in case some injuries happen again in the quarterback position. I think Cleveland will stick with him for another 2 more years. I think it'd be just a great signing. I don't think they need to really change much up in the secondary, because they got a pretty decent secondary, as everyone saw last year.
Oh, isn't that nice to hear from a Steelers fan?
Yeah, well, you can't lie after you beat us in the playoffs. So I think he'll stay 2 more years with the Browns.
I think it's just on a 1-year deal. I think it's just because with Cleveland, excuse me.
Yeah, with Cleveland.
Because I think we don't know what Greedy Williams is going to be bringing for us next year, because this was supposed to be a sophomore season, didn't play a single snap. And you have a rookie safety, if you want to call him rookie, because he didn't play again. He tore his Achilles in preseason. That name is Grant Delpit from Louisiana State. Go Tigers. So I think it's a lot of young players, and I think a nice veteran presence like Terence Mitchell could just be a nice little calming effect. But we stick with the Cleveland Browns, and the next pick at number 93 is Hollywood Rashard Higgins. He re-signed to Cleveland last year for a 1-year deal, just over $900,000, and I think he's due for a pretty substantial raise after last season. With OBJ going down with a torn ACL, and he kind of filled the role as wide receiver number 2, and is arguably Baker Mayfield's favorite target since Baker and him have been in the league. So does you see him re-signing with Cleveland at all?
No, yes, I do see him re-signing, but I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced that he will re-sign. OBJ is going to come back and he still have Jarvis Landry, but who knows? Maybe OBJ might get traded. If he doesn't get traded, I think he'll sign elsewhere. And another within the division signing, I think he'll sign with the Baltimore Ravens.
That's what the in-division signings here, right? Like there's no division rivalry anymore.
There's division rivalry, but players nowadays just want to play where they think they fit best. It's not that era where it's shut up and play, like with this whole Deshaun Watson situation. So I think he'll sign with the Ravens. The Ravens, I know they're a run. Obviously, everyone knows they're a run-heavy team. But if they get some good offensive weapons at the receiver position, I think there'll be a more deadly offense, and Lamar will have more targets to throw to. So I think he'll go to the Ravens.
So the rumor has it, and this is going to be my pick, is that Rashard Higgins is going to be on his way to the Tennessee Titans. And I see it as a 3-year deal, and I think it's going to be a bargain because Rashard Higgins just got paid, like I said, $900,000 last year. And they have a big contract to sign or make decisions on in the offensive side of the ball with Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis all up for contract. So I think a nice, cheap alternative of Corey Davis would be Rashard Higgins. I think he's going to get the playing time he deserves. And, it's kind of fits the same mold. Like Tennessee is a run-heavy offense, same with Cleveland. So he kind of has that familiarity with it. So I think he's going to find a nice fit there in Tennessee. And I think he's going to find a spot in the roster because before the season started, I think, Rashard Higgins didn't have, a role per se because, he was in and out of the lineup to start off the season. And you drafted a rookie receiver from Michigan, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who played very well for Cleveland once OBJ got hurt. So I think that makes Rashard Higgins more expendable. So I don't think you're going to be seeing, as much as I don't want to see it, Rashard Higgins back in Cleveland for September of 2021.
Yeah.
Number 92, a Super Bowl champion. First one on the list, defensive tackle from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Ndamukong Suh. He's been there at Tampa Bay for the last couple of seasons, enjoying the nice sunshine. Is it hard to rule somebody away from that glorious Tampa Bay sunshine and the winning ways?
Well, I think it's hard to lure anyone away from Tom Brady. because the whole league wants to play with Tom Brady. I'd want to play with Tom Brady if I was in the NFL. You're almost guaranteed a trip to the Super Bowl, win or lose. So I don't see him going anywhere else, really. I think he'll stick with the Bucs for one more year.
I'm going to agree on much, but I agree with you on this one too. If
Yeah.
Ndamukong Suh was just a bit younger, I think he'd be trying to chase another ring with somebody else.
Yeah.
But since it's Tom Brady and since they won last year, I think it's just very, very hard to lure him away. Maybe if it was in the frozen tundra of Pittsburgh or Green Bay, maybe you want to leave. But Tampa Bay is a pretty nice destination for any free agency, and no income tax. So I mean, you're getting
that's true. Yeah.
Number 91, the receiver from the New York Jets. He's played in a couple of teams before that, Tampa Bay and Cleveland. Mccarryman, he was kind of supposed to be the break. He kind of had a breakout season this year, but playing behind Jamison Crowder in a terrible, terrible New York Jets team. I think it's pretty hard to stand away from the crowd. So Malcolm, does he try to run it back for the Jets next year?
I don't think so. And the team that I think that he'll go to is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's why. And why I think that is because they need another great wide receiver. They have a few young guns on that team. Perryman, just another guy to add into that mix and kind of prove himself. And the Jaguars, I know they weren't great last year, but no one expected them to be any good. But maybe with some more offensive talent. What's that guy's name? What was the running back's name again? I'm blanking, bro.
Ronald Jones?
No, on the Jaguars.
Oh, Robinson.
James Robinson. That's who I'm thinking of. And they had another guy on the receiving end, and they have James Robinson there. I think their offense could be a lot better. And they're probably going to get Trevor Lawrence too. So just getting another receiver that Trevor Lawrence can throw to will be good for the Jaguars. So I think 3 years in Jacksonville for Perryman.
So I'm going to stick in New York, but it's going to be the other team in the New York Football Giants on a 3-year deal. I think he's a poor man's Golden Tate, and Golden Tate has been a very, very bad pickup for the New York Giants. So I wouldn't be surprised if they buy him out. And if they give Brashad Perryman a shot, I think he's got the wrong end of the stick in the last couple of seasons. And I think a good, reliable, if I can say this in the same sentence, reliable quarterback in Daniel Jones. I think I'm saying that correctly. Yeah. So we're gonna take a rain check on that one. But I think New York's gonna surprise some teams next year, whether it be through the draft or whether that be through free agency. But I'm telling you right now, 2021, New York Giants will win the NFC East.
That's a hot take. Mark the date today, February 17th, 2021, please. That Jay just predicted that the Giants will win the NFC East. I don't see that happening. I'd pay you.
They were a couple of games away this year. They should have won it.
Yeah, but that's just an atrocious division. I think it'll be better next year.
Let's hope. Number 90 from the Detroit Lions, the edge rusher Romeo Aquara. Detroit's defense last year, if we could sum it up in 2 words, I think it rhymes with horse manure. No, that's what it was. Horse manure. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's exactly what it was.
So, I mean, do we try to run it back there in Detroit, or does you want to just get a fresh start? Because new coach, I think it's pretty hard to miss the Dan Campbell, I think is his name, is the head coach of the Detroit Lions. It's pretty hard to mess that press conference to introduce him. So I mean, do you want to play under new coach Dan Campbell, who really wants to, might resort to cannibalism instead of playing football?
I think he'll run it back with Detroit. I think, we know the Detroit Lions, they haven't been a successful franchise at all since they've come into the league at all. Sorry, Jake Eagles, but they're just god awful. But I think he'll run it back 3 more years. Or that's what I'm saying, ever. And they've had some really good names. But I think he'll run it back 3 more years with Detroit. Like you said, I think playing under a new coach may spark a fire under him. And a bunch of these players in Detroit too. And they just got Jared Goff. So hopefully a lot of these players can revamp and make a new identity for themselves under this new coach. So I think he'll stick 3 more years in Detroit.
I'm going to go off to the butt. Might go down south a bit more on a 2-year deal. Stick in the Patriots style of coaching, but that Patriots guy is going to be Brian Flores with the Miami Dolphins. Maybe I think we both know that the Miami defense shook some heads last year and how good they could be. And they really haven't had it. They don't really have an edge rusher, right? Like we really haven't heard much on that side of the ball. It's more linebackers and safeties and cornerbacks getting it done for Miami. So to get a nice veteran guy like Romeo Aquara, who knows how to play the Patriot way, like Brian Flores likes to play, I think it'd be a very good fit in Miami. Number 89, we've already mentioned his name today, is the linebacker of the Los Angeles Chargers, Denzel Mccarryman. He's kind of been left on his own last year, defend for himself, because that team was pretty ravaged by injuries all everywhere you look at it on the defensive side of the ball. Melvin Ingram missed time. Derwin James, no surprise, missed the full season because he can't stay healthy for 2 hours. And so, do you think he tries to run it back in there in LA, or is it time to switch? It's time to get
No. I think he goes to a nice little contender team, and that team being the Buffalo Bills, who are also in need of a linebacker too. I think he'll fit nice in Buffalo, and Buffalo just one of those teams like their offense great, and they need a little bit of work on their defense. And I think Perriman can come in there and fix that up in the linebacker position. So I think he'll sign 3 years with the Bills and hopefully try to get a trip to the Super Bowl. I see the Bills making a trip to the Super Bowl within the next 4 or 5 years. So
let's hope, eh? I think he goes to a contender, and I think that's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Denzel Berryman's going to be going to on a 2-year deal.
Okay.
I really can't name you a Kansas City Chiefs linebacker, so I mean, I can't. So I think that's one of the needs for the Kansas City this offseason is to get at the linebacker position. Because if you didn't see it last the Super Bowl, Leonard Fournette kind of had his way. The Kansas City Chiefs pretty well, and Rob Gronkowski had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were going to the athletic linebacker to hold his fort down, hold his own. And if they can get him on a 1-year deal, which would be probably ideal because Mr. Mahomes' big money, $500 million contract kicks in 2022. Number 88 is arguably one of the best fantasy pickups anybody could have last year.
Yeah.
The Carolina Panthers running back Mike Davis, who had an unbelievable season coming in for the injured Christian McCaffrey. I believe he had over 1,000 yards, and would not surprise me if he did.
Yeah.
And he was probably fantasy's most underrated player this season, bar none. So, does he get paid this offseason?
I think he gets paid in a team that needs a running back. I think it's the Miami Dolphins. And I think the Miami Dolphins are just able to do that. Mike Davis.
Will he start?
I think he deserves a starting position. Honestly, I think after what he did last season, I know he's just filling in for Christian McCaffrey, and you see that, and you see the next season, like some running backs or whatever position come the next season, have a starting position, and they don't do as well, and they're a bust. I don't think Mike Davis is going to be that case. I think he's going to prove that theory wrong. I think he's going to come into Miami. He's going to sign a 2-year deal, and I think he's going to get that starting position there.
I will be going to the NFC North with Mike Davis, and it's going to be a team that's probably going to be in the need for a running back. That's the Green Bay Packers on a 1-year deal. I don't see any scenario whatsoever that they re-sign Aaron Jones because he is going to be looking for a lot of cash this offseason. And from looking through the free agency list on websites, CBS, ESPN, they have Aaron Jones ranked outside in the top 40, which I think is shocking. I think I saw 45th on CBS, which I think is very disrespectful. Yes, he's had 2 unbelievable seasons. Inconsistency has been a very, been a knock on Aaron Jones, but he was a Pro Bowler last year and a very, very big focal point in the Green Bay offense. And I think Mike Davis, can be a nice cheap replacement for Aaron Jones. If he can't do it, then you let him go. You have a nice sophomore running back in A.J. Dillon, who could be a very nice 1-2 combination with Mike Davis. You get A.J. Dillon accustomed to the NFL game. So I think that's going to be a really, really good pickup for Green Bay if they can get Mike Davis this offseason. Number 87, a former first-round pick in his own right from the Atlanta Falcons edge rusher, Takk McKinley. He's been very underwhelming, to say the least, the first 5 seasons of his career. There's a lot being said about Takk McKinley. He should have been a lot more than what he has been in his NFL career. So I think, does he not need a fresh start?
I think he needs a fresh start, and I don't think Atlanta will mind moving on, and I don't think he'll mind moving on from Atlanta. My prediction, I think he'll go to the Raiders, just because the Raiders, I think they can use any position. It's not like they're an awful team. But the Raiders are a team that really stands out to me. So they get some good depth in the defensive end of the ball. I think any pickup will be good. Mckinley, I think they'll sign him to 2 years. And he just gets a fresh start, like you said. I think a lot of these players on this list are just looking for a fresh start and change their identity.
I will be going with the Chicago Bears
Wow.
McKinley to sign a 3-year deal. I think he's going to have a huge. If he does go to Chicago, I think he will have a monster season just because that guy over there to the other side of the ball on the other side, Khalil Mack. You heard of his name before? I think all of the defense will be porting his name to that guy. And I think that McKinley's going to have a nice season. I know if he plays off of Khalil Mack, I think it's going to be a very, very good recipe for a player who, has been very, very underwhelming first in his NFL career, to say the least. Number 86, your boy from the Pittsburgh Steelers, cornerback Cam Sutton. I'll let you take the mic on this one, my friend.
Yeah, Cam Sutton, he's been a good defensive player, honestly. He's not one of those big names that everyone knows. Obviously, I know about him because he's on the Steelers. And I think there's there's quite a few players on this list from the Steelers who are looking for some contracts. And I don't think everyone's going to get signed. But I think Cameron Sutton's one of those guys that will be signed. I think they'll sign him to a 1-year kind of like prove yourself kind of deal. Prove that you can stay on this team because they have some guys back there. You have Joe Hayden back there, but he's not getting any younger either. So if you can develop some of these corners, develop some of these young players on this team, I think that'll be good for the Steelers. So I think they'll sign him to a 1-year deal.
Yeah, they're going to have to make some decisions in that secondary because the other cornerback, Mike Hilton, isn't also a free agent. So I will think I'm going to agree with you on this one too, that Cam Sutton's going to re-sign with Pittsburgh. I think if they're going to pick one or the other, I think you're going to pick Cam Sutton. I think he knows how to play behind Mike Tomlin pretty well and knows the game a bit better than Mike Hilton. And I think it's going to be a cheaper replacement because I think, honestly, not in the first round because, who they want to pick in the first round. Mr. Najee Harris from Alabama. Go Roll Tide. It's going to be round 2 or round 3. I think you're going to be looking at secondary for some replacements at cornerback. Number 85, we're sticking with cornerback and from the Kansas City Chiefs, Bashaud Breeland. Him and L'Jarius Sneed kind of had a monster second half of the NFL season. They've really amped up their game for the last 8 games in the playoffs, so he might be playing his way up to a nice little payday. But is it going to be with the Kansas City Chiefs?
I think it will be the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know they have a lot of issues like trying to sign a bunch of players because of all this money they're just tossing around like it's nothing and like they just have all the money in the world. They don't. But I think he'll stick. I don't think he really wants to leave Kansas City. I don't think anyone would want to leave Kansas City right now with the team that they have. So I think maybe he takes a little pay cut, but I think he'll sign 2 more years with the Chiefs at least.
I'll be going with the NFC East team with a 2-year deal. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Bashaud Breeland will play behind Darius Slay. Like you're trying to keep his composure there with that pick. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, will be signing Bashaud Breeland. I'll get more depth at a cornerback position. And I think it was another, again, glaring need for Philadelphia as the defensive side of the ball. Because, that offense, I think it would be pretty hard to lean on them to win you some games next year. So I think if you can bolster that D, I think it's going to go a long way in Philly. Number 84, a former first-round pick from the Ohio State University, Garyon Conley. He was kind of a surprise first-rounder because there were some draft day concerns of his character. But the Oakland Raiders signed him as a first-round pick, and now was traded to the Houston Texans, which seems to be now, if I could say this with the biggest smile on my face, because Cleveland wasn't for the longest time, Houston is the laughing stock of the NFL.
100%. Can't even deny that fact. They really are. And that organization just does not know how to run a football team right now. No one wants to play there. You lost your 2 biggest players in JJ Watt and potentially, most likely, Deshaun Watson, right? He wants to be traded. So they don't know how to run their shit there. I think Conley, though, I think he's a player that will stay. I think they're going to sign him to 1 year and he's going to stick with the Texans. But after that, if they can get their shit together and muster out a few wins at least, then he'll be moving on. If they're lucky, he'll be moving on next season.
I think that's perfect. A 1-year deal with Houston because I think he's going to be able to cash out for a 1-year deal.
Exactly.
who are they paying besides Laramie Tunzel and Deshaun Watson, right? Like you turf J.J. Watt, you left DeAndre Hawkins walk. You don't have a first round pick this year. You don't have a third round pick this year. I'll be lucky. Like it's just an absolute dumpster fire in Houston.
It's a joke. It's a disgrace.
It is.
Honestly.
It's an absolute joke of an organization. The president left. You don't have a GM. Your head coach is a nobody. It's just it's a fraud organization, and they're gonna be terrible until we have gray hair. Like they're gonna be the Detroit Lions.
Cleveland passed the torch down to the Houston Texans.
It's pathetic. Like Deshaun Watson is pressed. Like if you could press the panic button as hard as you can, Deshaun Watson is doing it right now.
He is. He's like, get me out of here.
We got 4 more guys left on our list here. Number 83, K'Waun Williams, cornerback for the San Francisco 49ers. They are going to have to make some very, very tough decisions in San Fran because I don't think they have a single cornerback on the roster to start September of 2021.
Really? I did not know that.
Free agent. Richard Sherman, free agent. And K'Waun Williams, free agent.
That's crazy. But I think K'Waun Williams will stay with the 49ers. I think they have to make a decision with a few of these guys. I think they let Richard Sherman walk. I don't think he'll be staying with the 49ers. We'll get into that later on. But I think K'Waun Williams will sign 2 more years with the 49ers because I think they just need to stick with the position, with that position on their team because it doesn't look like they're too hot right now.
No. Yeah. They're struggling to keep guys on their roster right now. I will be going and flipping switches and going to the Cincinnati Bengals with this pick. Another veteran player. If they can play beside Drake Kirkpatrick and William Jackson. If William Jackson comes back, I don't know. He's right up there on the list for free agency. So I think a glaring need would be cornerback. And right then, man, like the NFC North, as it stands, has some unbelievable receivers. If you look at you're praying Juju resigns. OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Hollywood Brown, hopefully Des Bryant. And the tight ends.
Yeah.
If you look at Mark Andrews, if you look at Austin Hooper, it's a pretty star-studded team. It's pretty nice on the offensive side of the ball in the NFC. Yeah. Number 82, who happened to win the Super Bowl for the New England Patriots against the Atlanta Falcons. James White, running back for the New England Patriots. Kind of an underwhelming season for his standards. One of the best passing running backs in the NFL. And if you want to chuck it up to Cam Newton, not wanting to pass the ball down and rather run 5 yards and get cackled and, lose football, sure, go for it.
Sure.
So where does James White want to get out of the Belichick realm here?
I don't think so. I think if they get a new quarterback, which I think they will, I don't think Cam Newton's their quarterback for future seasons. I think they get a new quarterback. James White gets a better fit with a better relationship with whoever the new quarterback's going to be. And I think he signs with 2 more years with the Patriots and sticks it out. See how that goes.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's going to go with the Patriots, but I think it's going to be for 1 season. I think he's going to give Belichick a benefit of the doubt and try to groom a quarterback to do what Tom Brady does, nice little check downs here and there and get James White his touches. And I'm sure his agent and him will be very happy in Foxborough. But, I wouldn't mind them missing the playoffs for another season. That's for sure.
Wouldn't mind either.
Number 81, your former Pittsburgh Steeler, all-pro running back, Le'Veon Bell, formerly from the Kansas City Chiefs, who made the Super Bowl for the first time in his career last season. Where do you see Mr. Bell going? Because he got paid a couple of years ago with the New York Jets and then got signed for sticks and pucks with Kansas City. So where do you see Le'Veon ending up?
Congrats, by the way, Le'Veon, for getting that ring. Oh, wait, you didn't. I'm gonna think he's gonna go back to New York, but not the Jets. I think he goes to the New York Giants. And I think he's going to be that backup guy for Saquon Barkley. And you never know with Saquon Barkley when he's going to get injured. And he's so young still. And that guy's a beast, right? You know it, Saquon. He is an animal. And if he just goes down again, even if it's for like a couple games, or even if he doesn't go down, I don't think they're going to want to use him all 16 games because of how injury prone he is right now. So I think if they get a good running back like Le'Veon Bell, he didn't play a huge role with Kansas City, but I'll think he'll play a bigger role with the Giants. So I think he'll sign 2 years with the Giants.
Yeah, I think with a name like Le'Veon Bell, you're not going to go to a small market NFL team, and you want to go to a team that might have a shot at winning. And the second part of that, might be switching from the team I think he's going to go to, because I think he's going to go to America's team. in the Dallas Cowboys
No,
for a 2-year deal.
no.
If he plays behind Ezekiel Elliott, I think it's going to be great for Zeke because, I don't think we would
What
expect to
about
see
Tony?
the season he had. What?
What about Tony Pollard?
Tony Pollard, whatever. I think he had a
He's good. What are you talking about?
flash in the
Whatever. He's a
pan.
good running back.
Flash in the
He's a
pan.
good running back.
Flash
Bring
in the
him.
pan.
Oh,
If you have an
oh my
established
goodness.
running back like Le'Veon Bell, I think it lights a fire under Ezekiel Elliott to have another great season like we know he can have. And Le'Veon is a great change of pace. Ezekiel Elliott is run down your throat and don't care who's coming at you. And Le'Veon, he's going to wait at the O-line. He's going to wait. He's going to see.
He's like, give me 5 seconds. Give me 5 seconds.
Exactly. And it's
Okay,
a pretty
now
good
I'm gone.
offense. And it's a pretty good offensive line in Dallas. So I
Yeah,
think
that's
it's a nice fit. Hopefully with the Cowboys. The last player on our list is a linebacker from the Arizona Cardinals in Hassan Reddick. He had a very, very bad couple of seasons in Arizona, but last year was very nice. He had a 5-sack performance one game for the Cardinals. So he's had a couple of nice games this year. He's kind of trying to make some money in his pocket from the performances he's had the last season. So where do you see Mr. Hassan going?
I see Mr. Hassan to go to the Carolina Panthers. I think Carolina. I've said this with other teams. They have good offense with DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Teddy Bridgewater, and then Christian McCaffrey, obviously. But they don't have a bunch of great names on the defense. I know they do have. Who is the rookie who was really good this year?
Jeremy Chin.
Derek
Brown.
Yeah, Derek Brown and Jeremy Chin. I was thinking Jeremy Chin, but both of those players have been good. But I think if they get a good linebacker, Hassan Reddick comes in, signs 1 year with the Panthers, says, hey, I still got it. Maybe I can do something with this team. That team, I think they kind of surprised a lot of fans last year of how well they could play. They didn't play extremely well, but they played better than I think a lot of people expected. So I think if they get some good defensive weapons on their team, then they could be a team that really contends for a playoff spot next year.
Whoa, Carolina making the playoffs?
Yeah, you heard me. You heard.
Let's relax there. Let's relax. I'll be going back with the NFC, but it's going to be with the North. I think that's the theme this week. And that's the Minnesota Vikings. I think Hassan will be a very nice fit there. It doesn't have to be the best linebacker on that core. You have Anthony Barr on that side anyway. And Hendricks. I want to say Michael Hendricks. I want to say Kendricks, something like that. So he doesn't have to be the guy necessarily like he had to be in Arizona because
true.
It wasn't like he was kind of supposed to be like first round talent when Arizona just gets that off his shoulders. So if he can go in a place like Minnesota where he doesn't have to be the guy and kind of fly under the radar, I think it's gonna be very nice. Sign for 4. He's still young. 4-year deal for Hassan Reddick. Yeah. You heard.
They're investing. Wow. Huge guts.
Absolutely. Hassan chops, baby. And so do we.
Damn.
So that is it. Number 100 through 80 done. Next week, we will be back to give you numbers 80 through 60. And just for a quick little teaser for 80 through 60, we mentioned a name like Mitchell Trubisky, like Sammy Watkins, like Xavier Rhodes, like Bud Dupree, like the Gronk. So there's going to be plenty of names to get to on where they're flying for September of 2021. So until then, it's Jake
and Cole.